right. Not going to be a terribly exciting day, I imagine, but nonetheless, I'm going to be getting some work done on this blaster. 69 rocket, 69. We can probably move that a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. What's up, guys? So guys, just getting some shop work done on this integration. Figured I might as well do it live for a little bit. So that's where we are currently at with the Rapidstrike Centurion. It's a really tricky one. Like, I didn't expect this to be as tricky, but I guess when you look at how few of them there are, Rapidstrike Centurions, I mean, it's because the shells are like so close to the same width. So like trying to make any sort of like sweeping integration is tricky for sure. There's a good reason why a lot of people use stripes. Let me put it that way. But I've had to like clear out so much of this shell, and it's still not quite as cleared out as I need it to be. I'm still getting a little bit of bump, but yeah. This is another commission. This one is going to a friend of mine who comes up and plays Atomic. No, that's a commission. But it's going to be a nice one. I think we're going to be running a 42mm Morpheus cage in here, as well as the Krakens, 2 Krakens for the flywheel cage, and a Valkyrie pusher. So should be a really fun build. Should be a pretty nice, powerful build. But still gotta get the shell there first. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm rubbing somewhere, and I'm trying to find out where that is. So this is how much Rapidstrike is actually left in this build. It's kind of crazy. Not much. Not much. It's close. Alright, so that's the nice one. Take off that whole piece. Yeah, alright. Figured out the next piece to go. Like I said, this is tricky. So now we're going to be taking off this little bit to get it to fit. That, and I don't want to take off too much because I'm also going to be integrating an ammo counter in here, and so I have to have a little bit of room. I guess at this point, might as well just finish off that a little bit. Okay, so that should fit a little bit better now. Oh yeah, perfect. Perfect! Ha ha! Ha ha ha! So now I'm not pushing up in the front anymore. Getting pretty close. Last little tricky spot I gotta handle is right in here. Yeah, so we got just a hair. You see how that, you can see a little bit of blue? You don't want to see any, because if I'm seeing a little bit of blue, that means the Rapidstrike shell is still going to be a little bit wider there than the Centurion, and it won't button up nicely. Alright, so now we go back and we compare our changes, because now I've got to do the other side of the shell to match. Yeah, so that was after my first cuts. That's after my second cuts. So clearly I have a fair amount to go back and cut down. So this has sacrificed 2 Centurions, 2 long shots, or not long shots, Rapidstrikes to try to get this to work. It's been tricky. But I mean, that really is the best word for this project, has just been tricky. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a rough one. Okay, do that. Ooh. Later, Pete. Schönen guten Morgen. So far I've put 14.5 hours into this project, just because it's been a lot of measuring, cutting. I'm trying to do something a little bit different than the other ones I've seen, so I put about 14.5 shop hours in there. But seeing as I sometimes get stuck goofing around with something else, may not be entirely accurate, but I try to keep a good gauge of how long I'm working on one of these, just so I can better quote them out next time. Actually, this is a commission blaster, so this will not be my typical color scheme. So this is going to be a Nintendo themed blaster when it gets done. Dark gray, light gray, Nintendo Zapper. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, I've never done this particular integration. So now I'm drawing out the windows for where the Rapidstrike plate, I guess is the best way to put it. It's where the word Rapidstrike actually is. So bring this down a little closer. Yeah, alright, I'll just do that with my hand. So 9 times out of 10, if you make a mistake during an integration, it's when you're cutting where you're not supposed to. So yeah, taking a fair amount of time because I've already done that once. This first Centurion shell over here might have still made it. It might have. Unfortunately, because I got a bit eager in the cutting, I made a mistake, and that mistake cost me the shell. Mistakes happen, so you just gotta work with it. Alright, gap. Three inches. Think one more good line and then I have to go. Alright, later, Ryder. And yeah, one more good line and I should be ready to get back to cutting on this. So usually I like to do this to music, but unfortunately YouTube keeps kicking out my live streams. Like, I can't save them if I play music. Alright. I think we should be ready to cut. So let's get back to cutting. Right now I'm just scoring a line in, so it's easier to line up my cut in a second. Cool. Yeah, it's a copyright thing. Like, some of my favorite workshop music is very, very, very heavily copyrighted. Like, the owners of it will take it down in a heartbeat. So I've had like several live streams that I've done in the past not survive just because I was listening to music. But because this is a commission project and an integration, and a lot of people like to go back and review these later on to like figure out how to do something themselves, I'm just not going to play music. You guys can play your own music. So yes, I'm using a handsaw. I use a cutting disc on a Dremel for a lot of my big cuts. But once I start getting down to like the fine cuts and the really close ones, I use a handsaw or like a file. It's way too easy for a cutting disc to go on a walk by itself, and then you irreparably damage a part of the shell you'd intended to save. I actually already did that once when I was cleaning out the inside in here. My cutting disc ran away from me and ran up into there, and so it peeked out a little bit there. So now I'm gonna have to like go back through and putty that and seal it, and it's gonna be an extra bit of work I did not want to have to do, but will now have to do because of that. So dang, yeah, nice, very nice. All right, now we'll do the grip recess. That one is a trickier one for sure. All right, which line do I have? Okay. That mark. Also, before anyone does ask, yes, I have my iPro on. Yeah, I mean, I use a mix of hand saws, files. I've got a ton of files. Hang on. Like up on my my board, all sorts of tools. But yeah, the files are a best friend. The Dremel makes things a little bit faster, especially on a big project like this, but gotta be careful. Cool. And a good set of snips. Okay. So my neighbor has a dachshund. I don't know if you guys can hear this. We call it Murder Dog because this dog literally sounds like it's being murdered when it barks. It's the wildest damn thing. So what we're doing now is I'm cutting out this kind of crescent recess, and that recess is what allows me to keep so much of this additional backside of the Rapidstrike. And the reason you want that is the more contact surface you have between your two shells, the more secure your integration is going to be. It's going to hold together a lot better. So you're only going to see that, but on the inside I'll have tons of surface area to epoxy together to really help hold this shell in one piece. You know, it looks easy, like you just cut the back off of the Centurion and stick it to the back end of a Rapidstrike, and you can, but then of course I wanted the whole top rail and everything. But in doing that, you also run the risk of having a serious point of failure for your integration. So trying to avoid that. And now I'm trying to remember how I got this out last time. How the hell did I do that? Did this before. I've done this twice. Guess I could get ugly with it. Let's try that. Now I gotta be very careful, because if this walks off on me even a little bit, I'm going to damage this shell in a way I do not want. So, fingers crossed. Woo! Nice. Oh, I'll be right back. Let me go take the smoke detector out. I have a smoke detector in my garage, and when I start using this tool, it frequently goes off, so I'll be right back. Though, for the record, I'm not advising anybody to disable the smoke detectors in their house in order to mod. But, like, I don't want to deal with that right now. Alright, so now we've got the big chunk out, but I've still got to get this out, and I got to match up that line. So I'm going to Dremel this out with a, this thingy. I'm not entirely sure what that's called. And then I'll finish off the detail part of it with a file. Oh, welcome, Mr. Unicorn. So today we're doing a Rapidstrike Centurion integration. No, wrong one. There we go. That. It's gonna be that. Wait. Still wrong one. There we go. There we go. That. That's what we're making. But I like to talk. So, I figured, why not do this as a live stream? Woo! There we go. Super clean. There we go. Very nice. Okay. All the way through. And so this will allow our Rapidstrike to sit inside of it. I mean, I've been doing a lot of work in progress pictures. What's up, guys? I've been doing a lot of work in progress pictures along with like how I'm doing my cuts and how I've started this whole process. If you follow me on Facebook at TK1138Nerf or on Instagram at TK1138Nerf, mostly Instagram, I've been posting pictures. Basically, like I said, I've spent about 14 hours on this, and most of it was just figuring it out as I go along. And there have been failures. There have been, let's see, so this was the original Rapidstrike that I started with. And this, while it is not going in the final integration, because I've chopped it up into a bajillion pieces, I learned a ton from it. Like, I figured out with that where I wanted to make my front cut, how much of this backside I needed to remove. Here I removed too much, and I found out this wasn't even necessary. I should keep it so I have more space. I've cut the stock too short. I mean, there's a million things that I've learned doing this. Same thing with the Centurion. On the first one, I got rid of this little front piece right here, and it's made it trickier to put it together. So it's like, all right, well, it's been a learning curve. So I learned here, and then I made it longer, and then the windows and the front. I mean, there's just tons and tons I've learned as I've went. So this will be my 4th integration. Let's go take a tour, I guess. This will be my 4th integration. My first one was a Rapidstrike Stampede. I'm going to be modifying this one and updating it, but like, it's rough. It really is these days. Like, you know, I'm looking at the putty work. My edges weren't very crisp and clean. Some of my integration points were gooey, where they just didn't flow together well. I masked a lot of that in the paint, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was not the super cleanest integration, but it was my first, so it was a learning experience. The biggest struggle I had with the Rapidstrike Stampede was the variable heights. Like, the Stampede shell is a very tall shell. The Rapidstrike is very not. So it gets really tricky, and it always ends up looking, sorry, my hand's shaking a little bit. It always ends up looking like she's got a lot of junk in her trunk. It's, now, of course, I have my battery here in the back, not the front. I have the ammo counter, so the V2, so it's all housed in here. But it's a rough one. Lots and lots of measuring. Let's see, so my second integration was the long shot Centurion. So I've had a lot of experience with Centurion. Actually, now that I think about it, 3 of my integrations have been Centurions. So yeah, Centurion into the long shot grip, and then the Centurion shell stops here and goes into the long shot. So there's that one. Yeah, I mean, you really could use some different pieces up here to kind of, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one, but it's tough because, like I said, it's such a tall piece with the Stampede, and then the Rapidstrike. It's, I don't know. That's actually a pretty good idea. My 3rd integration is actually back in the shop right now. I've actually been needing to repair it for a while and send it back. And it was another long shot Centurion integration, but it's had some cracking along a stress point right here. So I'm going to be repairing it. Yeah, another black and white one. And then now you're seeing me work on my 4th one. Though I'm not keeping the 4th one. Technically the 2nd and the 4th were both integration commissions. That's the word I was looking for. Sup, Duckface? We're cutting up Nerf blasters and sticking them together, making new Nerf blasters. That's the short of it. And back to work. So yeah, this is the one I'm currently working on, and the current Centurion. But like I said, everything's a learning experience. You know, don't throw away what you've messed up on. You can still learn from it. Like, for instance, one thing I'm going to be doing on this one that's going to be really tricky is I'm going to be housing the LiPo for this build, which is the big battery, in the back. So I need to figure out a way to get a LiPo in and out of the stock of this blaster. Well, good thing I kept my old one, so I can use this to help figure out how I'm gonna do that. So, we'll see. What are you streaming on? My cell phone. I'm not a fancy YouTuber with a fancy camera. I just have a smartphone. Alright. Anyway, onward we go. Maybe. But see, technically the first integration I did that wasn't for me was for a blaster trade. Doing an integration commission is tricky. You could add a barricade battery door to the back. I could. I'm gonna try to make something seamless. Actually, what I'm thinking of is maybe if I can make this whole piece come out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But the reason it's, for me, tricky to do integrations for commissions is cost and time. Like I said, I've put 14 hours into this blaster just figuring out how I'm gonna make my cuts and where I'm gonna cut it, and trial and error. It's gonna take me a couple of weeks to do this blaster, so it's not gonna be a fast process. So like, how do you charge for that? You know, how do you charge for what will likely be between cutting and integrating and then doing the internals and integrating an ammo counter and painting and all that? This is probably going to be a 40-hour project by the time it's done. You know, that's a whole work week. That said, so I'm not going to get into how much I'm charging for this one, but it takes time, and not many people, like, if you really do it out, like, look at how much time goes into one of these and charge for it, even if you're not charging but a couple of dollars an hour, it's a lot. It's a lot of work, guys. All right. Time to change positions. So Mr. Nathan and I have actually been talking about this build, but I have intentionally not watched his video yet because one of my favorite parts about this is trying to figure it out on my own. Mr. Nathan is arguably one of the most skilled, or I don't think it's really an argued thing, like the most skilled integration person in the hobby currently. I have a lot of respect for him. I look up for him. I have a lot of his integration pictures and like Prickly Nerf. You know, I've got a lot of integration pictures on my laptop over here that I look at to get ideas and draw inspiration from. But like, I've heard he figured out doing the same thing, but I want to see if I can figure it out on my own first before I go look, because I know as soon as I watch his video on how to do it, then that's probably how I'm gonna do it. So since I'm not currently in a rush, I'm gonna try to figure it out for myself, because every time you try something on your own and strike out on your own and try to learn how to do it on your own, you make these pathways in your brain, and then you can draw on that later. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going on this at the moment. All right, let me cut this piece out real fast. I'm going to be spray painting this. But go ahead. What you got? I'm always down for suggestions. Oh, yeah. So, I do a lot of, like, to show the scale of how many, like, I do a lot of painted blasters in black and white. Black and white is not forgiving. Like, your line work has to be stupidly clean. Now, clearly, I didn't do that. That's 3D printed. And that's 3D printed. But, you know, long shots, my Centurions, it's a lot. But I'm also doing another hobby thing I do is I'm making Mandalorian armor. Like costume armor. So, that's been... Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, Warhammer modeling. Shoot. That's like the most unforgiving painting thing you can do. I have so much respect for miniature model painters because it's just like ridiculous. Also, my tripod has decided to get a lazy leg. What are you doing, tripod? Oh, there it is. Okay. Stop distracting me. I gotta get work done. My family's out today, so like now's the best time to get a whole bunch of this done. All right. Yeah, I'm doing that one for Randy. It just, high spring loads, man. It just caused that piece to crack, so I'm going to be fixing it up for him. He gave it to me back at NWAR. I feel really bad that I still haven't gotten around to it. So basically when I start reaching the point on this one where I'm doing the epoxying and putty work, I'm going to do that one simultaneously. So that way I can just do it all at once. Later, dude. Yeah, the Mando helmets are a lot. Yeah, that window's out. Now, to the front ones. Handy dandy handsaw. No, I'm not wearing my earplugs. Good point. But I'm also cutting plastic at less than 72 decibels, so. But Baker Tankersley is correct. I should be wearing ear protection. Well, it wouldn't hurt to be wearing ear protection. I'm not going to say it's mandatory. All right. Okay, made my score. Ta-da! Ah. Oop. I mean, I filled up my trash can with shell parts, so now I've got a cardboard box filled with cans and shell parts. But yeah, it does look somebody dumped some Very Berry Captain Crunch on my floor and then just like did a river dance. Because my floor is just covered in red and blue. I mean, like my table is, and me, by the end of the day, will also be covered. I will be covered in red and blue. See, this is why you double check stuff, guys. I already found one mistake in my line work from earlier. So now I'm gonna go correct it before I do this cut. So that's probably why I take so long with these projects, is because I will go back and remeasure everything a half a dozen times. Yep, look at that. Made a mistake. So, lots of remeasuring, recutting. There we go. Woo, that was a close one. Ha! Could have messed that up bad. Any advice on my idea to make a Nerf hotshot las gun? Like a 40K las gun? I use a 2-part epoxy for the actual like integration, and then I'll use epoxy sculpt, which is an epoxy putty for the cleaning up the edges and sculpting, I guess. Well, duh, it's in the name. But no, I'll use like DevCon plastic welder is a good one. But at the same time, most of my early integrations were done with just a standard 2-part epoxy JB plastic weld from Home Depot. You know, I've started using better materials now, but it hasn't failed me yet. So, all right, where was I going now? Right, the murders. Sorry, it's an old meme. Back before they were even called memes. Old man. I remember correctly, I cut off a good chunk of this. Yeah, I did. Smart. Nick. Boop. Here's my little wrench. I really need to like spray paint this thing orange or something. I probably lose so much of my time looking for this tiny little tiny little black Dremel wrench on my black workbench. No. Oh, it faded. There we go. I'm not gonna cut a shell on my leg with this. These are nice jeans. That's for my handsaw. Yes, I will. All right. Now we're gonna take out the front assembly. Let me take off my hoodie. It's hot. Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm not gonna cut myself. It's a handsaw. Like, I could sit here for like 10 minutes, and unless I put force, no. Come on, guys. Here we go. Ta-da! Alright, now let's go back through, make the same correction to this one that I did in the last version, and I should be able to be ready to line these shells up. And that's exciting. Alright, one more cut to do on this piece of Rapidstrike, and we should be just about ready to start putting these jokers together. Alright, now to remember how I did this in the last one. So yeah, this Rapidstrike Centurion is coming together. Oh yeah. That's nice. Okie dokie. So I've learned a lot, seeing as literally every integration I've done so far has one of these. I mostly put it in so he'd stop bothering me, but he's got a fair point. It doesn't hurt to have ear protection. I don't feel like it's necessary with a Dremel, but who knows? Well, I don't want to say who knows, because someone knows, but it's a fair point, so whatever. But yeah, so every integration I've done so far has had one of these. I really like them. And the Centurion and the Stampede are the only two I like. I hate Ravens. They don't fit me well. I don't like the feeling. But I've gotten really good at doing this sort of integration right here. And the big trick to it is making sure you leave some piece of like hard plastic to go across and mold it to. Actually, while I'm here, let's go about this a little bit smarter. So grips are tricky to do. And I say tricky a lot, man. I really need to chill out with that. But there's some work to do to them to make them fit well and to look clean. And I've learned a lot since doing my first Stampede Rapidstrike. Dun, dun, dun. It's not going to fit together perfectly, but it's going to be pretty close. Dun, 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 dun. No, it's not going to fit at all until I cut this grip down. Then I can do this. Ugh. Whatever. onward we go. Should stop trying to take shortcuts. See, that is what it looks like now. That's what I need to get it to. Handy dandy handsaw. Dream Workshop is gonna have like 2 Dremels, and they're gonna hang on like retractors from the ceiling, so I could just like grab one and like pull it down, do what I need to do, and just saying. That's gonna be neat. Okay, now we should be ready to fit these things together. Let's give it a shot. This is kind of a moment of truth moment, and by that I mean I'm also going to do this probably about 5 dozen times before the end of this project. But this is where I figure out how close I am to getting this to work. And the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, very, very close. So we're almost there. A little bit more dimension work to do. Check that out. Yep, we're almost done, guys. Well, almost done with this first part. But yeah, just like I feared, there's a little bit of a gap here I still need to work out. But we're almost there. We are almost there. Yeah. How's that gonna feel? Oh, that's got a nice feel to it. Hell yeah. Yeah, there's just a couple of things that need to be finished out to make this work. Okay, I've got an idea. I have an idea. Okay, it's actually kind of a crazy idea, but it might solve one of my problems here. Alright, give it a shot. So one of my problems is this area, which sits right under behind the grip of the Rapidstrike, is pinching a little bit. Oh, great use for stock strife wheels, holding fabric tape measures together. What's up? How's it going, Willie? Oh, that was tasty. Breakfast. So yeah, kind of have a crazy idea here. I don't know, could that work? Literally, guys, half of this project has been me asking myself, could that work? Alright, so, first things first. Handy dandy calipers. Okie dokie. Take that down. Pretty close. Pretty close. So I think this just might work. Half of 35. 17.5. Oh, something 17.5. 15. 16. 17. 17.5. Alright, if this works, guys, I'm going to be like completely pleased as punch. So, fingers crossed here. Alright, that one looks good. Alright, so the outside one. The Southeast Nerf Club plays its games in Georgia, but I'm from Alabama. Well, I'm from Germany. I live in Alabama. We have people from South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky all play. Out of curiosity, what time is it? It is currently Sunday at, I don't know, 11:20 a.m. But I mean, the SCNC has gone and played games in Florida, so that was fun. Alright, I think we are ready to give this a shot. This crazy, crazy idea. But, whatever, here we go. Remember, if this works, I'm a genius. If this doesn't work, well, it's just a learning experience. Just kidding. I mean, it is a learning experience, but I don't think I'm a genius. But this will solve a lot of my problems if this does work. Here we go. What's up, Jose? But yeah, no, I'm from Germany, so that's why I've got like German patches on my Nerf gear and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, this project will be, plastic was very hot, by the way. This will be my last Nerf project for the season, so then I can switch gears and work on my Mandalorian armor for a while. Alright, now let's find out if my crazy idea just worked. Oh yeah, that's a much nicer fit. Almost. Almost. Off by a little bit. But we're getting closer. So at this point I'm just screwing the shells together just a little bit so that way they don't keep coming apart on me, and I can try and diagnose where this problem I'm having is. Let's throw one more in there. All right. Here we go. Little snug. It requires some additional sanding. But see, this is what I'm saying. Is we still have this issue right here to correct. So it looks like we are really, really close. Like, I think we are just millimeters away from having this, guys. So, alright, let's take it back apart, fix this one issue, and then I think that's it. At this point then, it's just going to be the boring stuff, which I'm not going to do much of on camera. That's the sanding all the logos off the shells and cleaning up the lines, and then I'm going to hot glue the shells together just to double check my positioning. And then once I have that, I'm also going to start working on epoxying some supports. So like just reinforcing some of the some of the integration points just to be a little bit stronger. And that should do it. All right, take my screws out. Oh, there go my glasses. Whatever. guess I took that screw out. Man, guys, I really need to stop using black screws on a black tabletop because now I don't know what to do with it. It's probably why it's such a good idea to have a million screws. Whatever. Oh, it's not the right screw either. I love these little screwdrivers, man. I like them a lot. I got the whole set. Oh, hey, my wife messaged me. What's up, wife? What do you got? Boop. Aw, that's sweet. There we go. There it is. It worked. Sort of. Alright, let's throw another screw in. There it is. We did it. So, it all lines up now. We fixed that bottom portion. We just shaved it a little bit thinner so it actually rides right on top of this raised point. So now we're gonna start mounting this together. After a little bit more sanding and we are done. Standing a little proud on this one and not this side, and I can't figure out what I did differently. Oh, it's the flywheel cage. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, alright. So I think that'll be doing it for today. We now have our shell roughly ready to go. Now it's gonna be all the detail work, all the sanding and buffing and getting the little edges aligned and whatnot. That's always a fun part, but time intensive and pretty boring to watch, actually. I usually do it while watching a movie. Yeah, they have an extended mag strike release. So I'll be putting one of those on there and all the bells and whistles. It's got this side rail right here, and I'm going to mount the V3 ammo counter on the side of it. So as you're holding it, you'll have that ammo counter right there. It's going to be pretty nice. Alright guys, well, thank you very much for tuning in as we finish up the last touches to get this thing ready to go. And I'll see you next time. This has been TK1138. Nerf well, my friends.